My name is Chang, and I'm from Minnesota. I started learning about trading about 4 or 5 years ago. I learned it from my brother first, and then I had you could say, beginner's luck, you could say. The first or second month, I started my personal account, and I made about 1,000, 2,000 from $100. Very soon, I had to learn the hard truth that Forex isn't that easy. And so I lost my account very soon, right after that. And
Bummer.
so after that, I finally found out how little I know about Forex. And so I spent about 4 to 5 months just studying Forex, big time, just full time after coming home from working full time and just studying for about 2 or 5, about up to about 4 or 5 months, and then I started trading. And then after that, I kept on trying to do Forex, kept on trading, but then I couldn't get my consistency down. And so over down the years, I kind of stopped for a little bit for about 2 or 3 years. And then about 2 years ago, after I got married, then I told my wife that, something that can really help us in the future is the only thing you can see is Forex. That's the only thing that I saw that could really help us and to really help us with the lifestyle that we truly want to live in the financial freedom world. And so for me, I started learning Forex again about 2 years ago. Start from the very backbone. So starting from the beginning, working my way up again, studying market structure big time, really learning strategies that fit with me, that would work with me too. And then also just learning a lot about risk management and really going through all the trial and errors, just back testing, years of back testing with the live market. And that was the hardest part.
I bet. So, rewinding a little bit, how did you
Yes.
initially get into this industry? Like, what was that spark? What was that intrigue that you saw with prop trading? And you're like, okay, I could give this a shot. Take us back to that thought
Okay.
process.
Yes. For prop trading, at first I saw a little bit from the community that I followed, the Forex community that I followed, and they were talking about you don't need your own money. You can trade with prop firm money. And that was a big wow. And I didn't really know that who would really want to give you money to invest for them. So both people, when you make gains and they make gains also. And so when I started getting into learning about forex spot firms and learning about all of the rules, the consistency rules, learning about the risk management rules, and for me, the biggest thing that helped me, well, that I truly appreciate about prop firm trading is it helped me to really learn how to manage my risk. And before learning about prop firms, I traded, and the during that time, I think the trend was learning how to flip accounts. And so that's what I tried at first. And no matter how much I tried it, I would flip it, get a good amount of money, and then I would lose it all. So flipping accounts is not very ideal, I would say. And so having larger capital, really practicing a demo a lot, and then going into the prop firm and trying out the challenge phase one and phase two. And that truly helped me as a trader myself to really find my edge that I need to manage my risk somehow.
Yeah,
And so
that's
I
great.
truly love how prop industry has helped me.
That's amazing. Well, we're happy to have you with Smart Prop Trader, a funded trader, a paid out trader. So, how did you originally find out about Smart Prop Trader? What led you to us?
Yes, for me at first I started with the funded trader, and so I learned about Angelo. He's very active in the trading community, and along with the funded traders Discord. And so after I learned about Angelo, and then I learned about Blake through that they both opened up the funded trader together. And now that Blake he opened his own smart prop trader SPT, I looked into the website, and what really compelled me was I see that he wants to help the community and help people back. And so that's something that I truly and am grateful about that. And I really vibrate at the same frequency with that too. I want to help others too. And so for that, that's how I found out SVT.
That's amazing. And we're glad that that is evident, on the trader's end, because that truly is our heart and soul behind SPT is just building that community, building a long-term relationship with our traders and just really wanting to give back and want to see that success. So that's amazing that you feel that way. We appreciate that. Can you describe your trading strategy? Kind of how do you approach trades, and how has that evolved over time from trial and error and everything like that?
Yes. For me, at first, when I first started trading, I focused a lot on these smaller time frames. So I would do my analysis on the 4 hours down to the 1 hour to the 30-minute time frame, and then I'd find my entries on the 5 or 10 minute time frame. And during that time, I focused a lot on scalping. And the big mistake that I found for me myself is my stop loss tend to be too small, and my loss hazards, my positions were too big, and so that was a big no-no. And I kept it on for about, I would say, about the first 2 to 3 years of my trading history. And then for me, my wife, she kept seeing my failures and she said, something is wrong. Something is wrong. It's been about,
Hey, wife always knows, right?
yes, the wife always knows. She always knows. And so she always reminds me that, yo, hey, it's been about a year. If we're not seeing any progress, there's something wrong. And so it gave me a really big reality check. And I really appreciate my wife because she saw it. And I honestly, for me myself, I saw it too, but then I kept trying, kept trying, kept trying. And then soon after I implemented what my wife said and really change it up to finding or making my stop loss a little bit bigger. And then my take profit, I would have about a 1 to 2 or 1 to 3 risk variation. And that helped a lot because before in the past, all of my stop losses were hit because I was in the right direction. I traded with the trend, but my stop loss is too tight, too small. And I would always get stopped up.
That's all, a woman's intuition, I tell you.
Yes, definitely.
So kind of along those lines, how do you manage risk in trading? So what steps do you take to kind of minimize the potential loss there? Obviously, you touched on the stop loss, but what have you learned over the years that is your go-to when it comes to managing, your risk?
Yes, for me, typically I used to trade forex pairs a lot, but now I moved into gold. So I really like gold now. And typically my stop loss based on the entries, I like to follow the trend. So I would follow trend lines. And then for me myself, I would my typical stop loss would be about 400 points. And that's been working very, very good with my strategy.
That's great. How do you feel like you stay up to date on, you said you follow the trends. How do you stay up to date on the market trends? Do you track news? What's your strategy there?
Like I said before, I like to do my analysis on the higher time frames now. So usually I would start from the monthly and the weekly and the daily and really focus on the trend lines. Once I draw my trend lines on the daily time frame, especially there, and then looking at the market, the candlesticks, where the market is going, it definitely takes a lot longer for the market to show its moves and where it wants to go. But the patience, it's really worth it. When it hits the trend line or the support resistance zones on the bigger time frames, when you put your entries in, the probability it's almost like it's a 90% rate that it will go in the direction that you're looking into.
Yeah, it's that intuition and kind of like the back testing you mentioned, right? Kind of recognize what's going to come. That's great. How do you manage like the stress and the pressure of trading? What strategies do you use or you find that help you stay focused and disciplined with your strategy?
In the past, I've started with small risk management, so I would risk about 0.5% per trade. And for me, on the psychological side, I wanted to see my account to grow really quick. But then it's something I changed for myself specifically is I kept back testing that. It takes longer, but yes, it's a very conservative way of trading. And I like that too. But then for me now, what I get into is my approach is a little more aggressive now, where for me, I would be willing to risk in one position or in one swing, you can say, I'd be willing to risk 2% max. So at times I would risk my first trade, I would have about 2 positions and I would risk half first. So if I were to do like a swing on a 200K account, I would risk total of $10 lots total together. And then I would spread it into 2 positions for that. And then for the psychologies, from the psychological side of it, for me myself, I learned to just, if the market decides to go to my stop loss, just let it hit. Stop moving the stop loss up further and further and further. And so when you start doing that, you're not having any kind of risk management. So for me, on the psychological side, if it hits a stop loss, let it hit. And if you want to take profit, let it run.
Yeah. And you've probably found like that comfortable position for you to be, what that loss is, right? You're like, okay, I'm comfortable with this. I can handle this and we'll get it back. So it's a good thing that a lot of people haven't really honed in on yet is like making sure they know where they're comfortable and what they're comfortable losing. Can you walk me through one of your favorite trades or one of your most recent successful trades? Curious to see how your mind works and what your favorite trade has been as of late.
So my very last trade before I requested for the trade out. Well, I made this trade at the bottom here on exit Bitcoin. But my very last trade here, just to pull it up to the chart, here must trade. I put my sell here at the very top here. And for me myself, I like to do an analysis on the bigger time frame to come back down. Before here, things are not very current to the time when I traded, so it's a little hard to get back to where exactly where it was.
That's okay.
But for me, looking here on the bigger time frame, we've been on the downtrend this whole time here. And so usually I like to do is I would like to draw channels as the trade happens, as the market keeps going. So the channels are very accurate from the bigger time frames, what I would say. So the 4-hour time frame looks like this. And so for me, during this time when I took this trade here, so looking at here, I like to use the Fibonacci tools. And that's something that I use daily with as one of my combinations to take the trades or not. And for in this area here, from this wing, you could say as price came to the, it stayed up in the channel here. For me, when I saw price coming down, making a down move, a strong move down, I like to place my Fibonacci's from the last high. From this would be the high from what I see, and place on the low from here. So after this half move happens, I wait for the move for the market to keep going up and do whatever it wants to do. And so as I see the market coming up, coming close to my zone here. So I like to use the 62% from the Fibonacci, the 705 and the 79% zones for my entry areas. When I saw the market coming up close to there, that's when I feel very impelled that the market always follows the Fibonacci sequence. And so that's where I placed this entry here, a sell here. Initially, I had my stop loss 400 points above, but then as I was going into profit, I went down to about 5,000 and came back down. So I wanted to secure profit. So I would move my stop loss into profit too as I keep trading. One of my setups are here before I made the request for the payouts. As you can see here on my screen, I really like to focus on the support and resistance zones. So all of my green areas here are my support zones. And so I also have a lot of resistance areas here. So in the past, the market made very beautiful trends. And it followed the support resistance zones very, very well. So that's something I use my primary confirmation muscle.
Okay, so what would you say is like the biggest challenge you have faced so far as a trader, and how have you overcome that?
It always comes back to when the market is very beautiful, as when it follows a downtrend and it stays in the channel, the trades are very consistent. You can be very confident in it. But then when it gets into a ranging market, you have to kind of change your mind to, oh no, it's no longer a trending market. Now it's a ranging market. So you would have to have a shorter take profit and really focus on trading from zone to zone. And for me, myself, I still have struggles with it here and there as to where I feel like the market is going to continue being trendy. And so I would have about a few losses and I would have to sit back and really stop trading. Just stop trading and just rest and let the market do its thing.
Take a breather.
And, yeah, take a breather. And so if you see that you can start trading the range, yes, you can definitely do it, or just stick to the strategy of just trade only trending markets. So for me, myself, I'm taking a break right now.
Hey, you got to know what to do. You got to know your mindset. That's smart. How would you say you evaluate and select the assets or the markets that you trade? Like, what do you consider in your decision-making process when choosing, Forex or gold?
I would still trade Forex pairs, but then for gold, I love how SPT has no commissions for it. So that's a big plus for me. And then for gold also, I really like gold more now because it's a lot more volatile. So some people, rather choose a pair like Forex pairs that's not so volatile, so they can have a consistency. But for me now, gold, I found my consistency with it. So for me, I like gold, how volatile it is.
How would you say you track your performance? How do you measure your trading performance? Like, what metrics do you use to assess your success?
For me, I still write it on paper. No, that's not the best way to do it. But right now I heard of there's a lot of people in the trading community. They're starting to use TradeZilla. I think that's what it's called. So for me myself, I want to get into that so I can actually trade I can actually track my trades through online. It'll be a lot easier.
For sure. Sometimes it's good to have it on paper, though. You'll have it always to go back to,
Yes.
What advice would you give somebody who's interested in potentially pursuing a career as a prop trader? So say you go back 10 years and you're talking to yourself. What advice would you give yourself knowing what you know now about the industry?
Number one is never give up, because there will be many, many points in your life when learning about Forex, especially when you just can't get the consistency down. You just want to give up, because at first, when you get the consistency for about a week and the market changes, it's a different market now and you just want to give up. So number one, never give up. Because if you don't give up, if you give up, then that means that you never made it. So for me, that's number one. Number two, I would say, is really learn money management. And so with your own money itself too, as to your budget for your mortgage, for your cell phone bills and everything, that along ties with risk management in the forex market. For me myself, I would say your life itself is a direct reflection in the forex market, as it's a reflection of your trades. And the number three, I would say your lifestyle change. For me, I had to change my lifestyle very big. And so it's your lifestyle would affects your trading psychology so much. And so if you were to go drink and party, and then if you were to do a lot of things that would I would say like it's a lot of things that distract your mind, and your mind can't be in peace. It affects your trading, and it's a big thing where it's lifestyle change is a big factor for me. And
Yeah.
number four, I would say, is discipline and taking accountability. So anything you do, whether you hit stop loss, or if your analysis you enter too early, you have to take accountability over it. No one else can do it for you. You have to do it for yourself.
I think that's really great advice. And even the small things that you don't think about, like you said, the small distractions and just the daily life decisions that you're making, waking up early, working out, taking care of your mind, like reading, all things that will affect your overall performance. I think that sometimes is missed for sure. So I think that's a great piece of advice, definitely. If you don't mind sharing, what account size do you have with Smart Prop Trader currently?
Currently, right now, I only have one 200K funded account.
Cool.
And then I'm working on getting another 200K.
Perfect. And have you received a payout yet, or you're about to get your first one, or where are you at with payouts?
I've got one payout, and then I'm waiting for my next payout after the interview.
So after this next payout, how much have you gotten paid out by SPT so far?
My first payout, I got 19,000,
Nice.
and that's included with the refund.
Amazing.
And so my second payout should be about 13,000.
Amazing. Awesome. Well, we're so happy to have you on board. And like I mentioned in the beginning, we want, a long-term business relationship with you. So we hope there's plenty more payouts in the future. So lastly, just while we wrap up, would you mind just sharing your experience with SPT so far, and kind of where your head's at with your future here at SPT?
Yes, definitely. My experience with SPT has been very great. There were few problems here and there, but then I truly love how supportive the support team is with SPT. And anything that happens as for my metrics, it wasn't tracking the trades right, like I would ask the support team, and they would get on with it right away. And so along with if the payout is a little delayed, they would find the answer to why it's a little delayed. But then the problem is fixed after that too. So for me, I really love the way SPT has been very supportive. And for me, I see a long-term relationship, and I see my friendship with SPT for business-wise. It's going to go very far. And for me myself, I really want to scale my account up, and I love the scaling program that SPT has, and I hope to really get to the max of it.
Well, I think you're well on your way there. So super happy to have you on board again. Well, thank you so much for your time today. Really appreciate it. And hopefully we have many more interviews to come. And congrats on your next payout coming probably today or tomorrow.
Yes, thank you so much.